I'd really quickly like to point out that this video failed rendering like a good few times due to an OBS, so I had to downscale the FPS quite a lot in this video, so this will be maybe 30 with quite a few lag spikes in there, so I do apologize about that, but everything else should be okay, so apologies. Hello guys, my name is TWIZZ and welcome back to another video. Today we are doing something a little bit different. Call of Duty 2020, baby. Oh, it's what a lot of COD people are talking about right now, because quite curiously we haven't managed to get as much gameplay or leaks, trailers, all that kind of stuff as much as we normally do. We normally get stuff like reveals and stuff in May, April, that kind of time, but so far we have had nothing confirmed. However, we have opened up quite a lot of leaks and footages, and we're going to be going over them today. So, without further ado, let's get into this video. So recently, some leaked footage of the game has been released, and it has been pretty interesting. Unfortunately, I won't be showing it in this video because it's got a lot of people in trouble for showing it, and I don't want to get in trouble with Activision because, well, you can probably tell why. But this footage has revealed a lot about the game, and I'm thankful that it's out. So yeah. So the first thing we can notice quite easily from this footage is that it looks very Modern Warfare-y. So we think that it's going to be run on this new Modern Warfare engine that we've seen for the last year. So we definitely think that it's going to be on that engine, if not a modified version of it to fit the Black Ops universe slightly better. But we do think it will be very similar, or this exact engine that we've seen. Second thing that I've heard a lot and seen is that this game is going to feel like a mix between original Black Ops, that being Black Ops 1, and Modern Warfare, like current Modern Warfare. So there'll be a lot of the same game mechanics from Modern Warfare, but with a Black Ops twist on it, if you feel. The next thing I'd like to point out, which isn't really on the topic I'm on, but I'll point it out anyway, is the TWIZZ logo that you see in the map Arsenal on Black Ops 4. Actually appears on this leaked map. You can see it on one of the sides of one of the tanks. With a slightly different logo, but you can tell it's the same company because it's got the name on it. So this is a quite a cool Easter egg, or maybe it will prove that this company does actually mean something back in this game. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Maybe it is just an Easter egg, maybe it's not, I don't know. Finally, we're getting on to the name of this game. It's quite known now that this video will be set in the Cold War, and there are two possible titles that are going around that most people are stuck on. Those two titles are Call of Duty Cold War, which is fairly standard, I guess, it sounds pretty legit, and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, which is obviously fitting with it being made by Treyarch and part of the Black Ops universe. So either of these are fairly understandable to see and quite likely. Personally, I think it will be Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, but at this point we really just don't know which. So it's quite commonly known that this game will take place in the Cold War, more specifically the Vietnam War. But there is some other things that point towards this being across more than just the Vietnam War, which we'll get to later. So moving on to weapons that may feature in this game now, it feels like a good time to say that nothing in this is confirmed. This is all subject to change. It could be that nothing in this video is correct, by which point, fair enough, but we simply don't know at this point, so personally, I think a lot of this is very likely. However, like I said, I'm not the developer of the game, so any of this could change. But without further ado, let's get into some weapons. So firstly, we've got the Daewoo K2, apologies if I've mispronounced that. This is a Korean weapon, I believe, that was developed and used in the 1980s up to, I believe, present day. Now this brings up our first kind of problem. The 1980s was after the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War was, I believe, the 60s and 70s, which isn't the 80s. And this is one of our options that suggests that this game may take place in more than just the Vietnam War, and maybe the Greater Cold War. So, obviously the game being called Cold War, or at least as we think, it would suggest that, but a lot of sources do say that the game will take place in mostly the Vietnam War, but from this bit of information we could say that maybe it takes place in more than that. But anyway, you guys get it. Second thing is the 1911 pistol. This has appeared in quite a lot of Call of Duty games. It's very standard issue. A lot of people know what it is. It's pretty much just your basic handgun, but it's a very nice iconic weapon, and I think it will feature in this game. Next up, the M16, again a really good weapon, not really much I have to say about it. It'll feature in this game probably. Next up is the AK-47, and this one's a little bit more confusing because it's only appearing in the game files. It doesn't have an official name. I'm assuming it's to do with licensing and stuff, and I'm not too sure. But hopefully we will see this gun appear as the AK-47 because it's always nice to see it as the AK-47. But at this point we just don't know, but hopefully it will feature, whether it's under this different name or not. So next up we've got some kill streaks. Now there is actually more kill streaks than weapons that we know about, which is fair enough. So first up we've got an RCXD, so obviously if you guys have played BO1 or any COD game, pretty much any Black Ops game, you'll know that the RCXD is a little remote control car that goes about and it's got an explosive tied to it and it blows up. Second, chopper gunner, doesn't really need explaining. Third, napalm strike, artillery strike, a flamethrower, which is kind of, I don't know how accurate this one is, but fair enough. A UAV, counter UAV, dogs, so this could either be in the form of one dog, for example in BO4, or like K9 units with obviously multiple. A little interesting to see how it goes down with that. And then the last one is a weird one. It's like a counter kill streak of sorts. It's a kill streak that gets rid of kill streaks basically. It strikes other kill streaks, so that's pretty cool. As of now, we've only seen these to be score streaks, but hopefully we will see them as kill streaks, because I've been calling them kill streaks, but they're actually score streaks in the game files, so we'll see what happens with that. So another thing that we managed to pick up from the little leaked piece of gameplay, first one is the compass at the top of the screen, which features in Modern Warfare. This is going to be very, very similar, if not exactly the same. It shows your location. When enemies fire, I'm presuming it will say, feature similarly to how the map does. And this game will also feature a circular map from the gameplay that we've seen, much like Modern Warfare again. Finally, we can move on to some of the maps that we may feature in this game. So the first thing I want to point out is, much like some of the later COD games in the Black Ops universe, for example Black Ops 2, 3 and 4, so pretty much all of them to be honest, they featured a much more vibrant and bright games, maps, whereas the Modern Warfare games tend to be a little bit darker and a little bit more dull. And this game is going to follow suit with the Treyarch games. It's going to be much more vibrant and colourful maps. So we actually seen from the leaked gameplay that the map wasn't actually fully textured. A lot of the things were just colours and just not textured. Obviously that's just because it's a pre-alpha version of the game. There's nothing set in stone, so obviously the maps are going to change a little bit, but even with nothing textured, it does look nice and colourful, so we can assume that we're going to see very similar styles of maps with a lot more colour and vibrancy. The first map we've seen, obviously from the leaked footage, is codenamed Tank. Now again, we don't know if these are going to be the final names. It's very likely that they will change, but this is basically a map with kind of like a couple warehouses about and stuff, bunch of tanks around the map, one central tank. This is the map that features the Dazzler little thing, and it's a pretty cool looking map. I can't really say much on it. Next one is a snow map. This is going to be a ground war map, so yes, 32v32 will be returning, and possibly even bigger scale games, so that's really sick. This video is also going to feature snowmobiles and quads and tanks and stuff, so it's going to be sick, much like we have in ground war. So we got snowmobiles, that's going to be so sick, kind of like Modern Warfare 2 campaign that had snowmobiles and it was pretty sick, so yeah, sounds fun. Next up is just a warehouse map. I don't really know much about this one, but it's going to be a warehouse. Sounds fun. And finally, a Russian city map. This is just a Russian city. Again, I can't really say much. And we've also got some remastered maps. So we're going to have Nuketown, Jungle, Summit, and Firing Range. These are maps we've seen remastered in Black Ops 4. Now we're going to see them in Black Ops Cold War. And obviously Nuketown we see in a lot of things, but we think this Nuketown isn't going to be a reimagined map, but it's going to be a remaster from Black Ops 1, but we don't know at this point. But hey, so far that's everything I know, so if you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to smash that like button. Also don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this, I'll definitely be doing another one of these update videos soon in the future, in maybe a couple weeks or so. Hopefully we'll have more information by then. If you agree that Black Ops Cold War sounds like a sick game, go ahead and smash that like button. But yeah, that's all for me, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.